Hello, my name is Cynthia Reyes, and today I will have a commemorative speech about Martin Luther King Jr. So, before we start, just wanted to show a picture of Martin Luther King. This was him. So, his original name was Michael King Jr. He was born in January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was assassinated in April 4, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, and he was only 39 years old. So he did write the I Have a Dream speech, which was a very powerful speech. He had 4 children, and he married Coretta Scott in 1953. So one of the facts about him is that Martin tried to commit suicide at the age of 12 due to his grandma's passing. So it took a really hard toll on him, and he felt like committing suicide was gonna, stop his pain. He tried to jumping off a balcony, but he ended up not doing it. Here I have added a piece of the speech. It says, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." So what did Martin Luther King Jr. do? So in the 1950s and 1960s, Martin was a baptized pastor, and he was supporting the civil rights. So he led the civil rights movement in the United States. He also won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, and he did organize a lot of peaceful protests, which made things more effective. The success of that movement ended the legal segregation of the African Americans due to his leadership. So at the time when Black people were perceived and treated as inferior to white people, King spoke out against racial injustices and inequalities. So here I have added a picture of Martin Luther King when he won his Nobel Prize in 1964. So how did Martin Luther King Jr. influence others? So he impacted a lot of people in the world. He promoted a lot of nonviolent solutions to some of the most pressing issues facing society. As a tribute to King's legacy, we now celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day in January. People don't go to school, people don't go to work. Me, myself, I work at a school, so I don't go to work. And my students obviously don't go to school either. He showed peace in the face of violence, which had a positive effect on the world. So here is a picture of Martin Luther King in his car, and people supporting him in the back. And so in his I Have a Dream speech, the speech happened at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with more than 200,000 Black and white people that came to listen. People came to Washington to demand equal rights for the Black people. So here I have attached a picture of his speech. It's kind of long, but it's really interesting. So, facts about Martin Luther King Jr. So he actually experienced segregation at the age of 6 himself, which he was not allowed to play with his white friends. The parents were not allowing him to play with them, so he did face that when he was pretty young. He did come in after Rosa Parks did not want to give up her seat for a white man. She refused, and she did end up getting arrested, but because of that, things changed due to her doing all that. So it actually took 381 days, of protesting to make the segregation laws change. His speech was one of the most famous speeches in the world in history. And the Civil Rights Act was actually passed outlawing racial segregation and discrimination in the USA. So here I have a picture attached of Rosa Parks and the white man. This is a picture where she didn't want to give up her seat. So unfortunately, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. He was shot dead while sitting on the balcony outside in the second floor room at Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was assassinated by James Earl Ray, a 40-year-old man, which he was sentenced to 99 years in prison. So he was actually preparing for a march the day before he was killed, which is crazy. But, you know, even though he was killed, he made a lot of changes for Black people. I feel like this is still important now because there's still a lot of racial stuff going on. So he really did impact the world a lot. So here I have added a picture of Martin Luther King after his death, in his funeral, which is pretty sad. All his family was attended there. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening to my speech. Bye-bye.